Design Academy in Eindhoven, where we asked this question of how design can play a role in the local and global context of design. And after I came back, I was part of initiating the Social Environmental Study program in Hulon, in HIT, where I also studied. So this was my tikkun machon, if you want, of bringing back the issues that I thought were missing very much during my studies. And now I'm giving to students nowadays. It's a 2-year program within the 4-year of product design. And at the same time, I founded my own design firm. It's called Essence Design, and it does different things around this field of sustainability design in the broader level. What I will talk about today is how design can become a tool in this field of development, and I will touch it from different perspectives, some from my own experience and also from other projects of designers, NGOs around the world. In the beginning, I will start a little bit from the craft perspective, as design as an empowering a community, and then I will touch an actual design of a product, working with a community in a co-design process in a way that I feel is very, very a very good example of how a development of a new product for a very different country, a very different setting can be done in the right way. And in the end, I will tell you about the project I'm developing at the moment and what drives it. So that's what we're going to do. And as you notice, it's a very intimate setting, so feel free to ask, interact, and so on, because in the end, and I just now received a blog that somebody posted about an interview they had with me another day, and she said something about how I'm motivated by asking the right questions, not necessarily giving the right answers. So for me, what we have to do here is first and foremost ask the right questions of how we can come up with the right solutions for our target group. So my first hands-on interaction with developing a community was in a project I did in Kenya in 2002. I was working in a village called Machakos. It was part of a 6-week design project that we were doing in collaboration with the university where I studied. And we were thrown in a village. In this case, it was a sisal weaving community. Sisal is a fiber that the local women take out of leaves and produce traditionally baskets, bags, and so on. So we were asked to create, within 2 weeks, new products for the tourist markets and teach those women those methods. So as you can imagine, it was a huge cultural shock. I lived with a family in the village. Of course, a whole new cultural experience, cultural way of operating. And every morning I would go to this square where we were meeting next to the church. I had around 15 women working with me, with the local NGO that was doing the connections. And I kind of had a small factory of designers doing sketches. So within 2 weeks, we came up with quite a few prototypes. And we did use the time to do research through design, but in the end, this project taught me maybe more than everything how not to create developmental projects, which is sometimes a very important learning experience. The good thing was that, of course, we had an NGO there that could take the things forward, but no project whatsoever can be really beneficial if you work for such a short period with the community, no matter who it is and where it is. So these are some of the products we came up with, trying to develop a new technique of creating closed objects and so on. Sorry?
Out of
The cycle. I think I erased one slide. It must be in the next. But what I wanted to tell you is about two little anecdotes that I met in that village, and were very crucial to the way I look on development projects. The first was the little brother of Wambua, who is one of the older guys of the family I was staying with. He was a 9-year-old child. They all went to school in the morning and came home, and at night it was dark, of course. They had one kerosene lamp in the living room, and one night he came home and started reading from his notebook. Now, he didn't understand what he was saying. He was reading something he had to recite in English. So he had to write the letters and read the sound, but he didn't really understand what he was saying. And he was sitting there, 9-year-old child, in front of a kerosene lamp, and reciting a text about what is electricity. And seeing this really revealed the gap of our understanding and motivation of what do we bring to these communities, how relevant it is to their lives, who is really asking the questions, who is really checking, and what are we really promoting here. Another anecdote was with the father of the family that went every day to Nairobi to work as a wood carver, and came home at the end of the week to be in the weekend with his family. And when he came back, he brought a present for me. He created a very beautiful wood-carved bowl. And he gave it to me as a present, and he said, "Listen, I thank you so much for acknowledging my family. We are just a poor family, and the fact that you acknowledge us is the most crucial thing." And I said, "Listen, I mean, they had this very simple house, but with a huge field where they could grow their food. Beautiful, beautiful setting with the most gorgeous sky of stars you could imagine." And I said, "Listen, where I come from, having this would make you the richest person around." So who really taught who what is poverty and what is being poor, and what are the motivations and what are the implications of naming people with these terms, and what are they leading for? So I'm not saying everybody is well off, but I'm just saying we have to be very, very cautious about stating things as black or white, and about assuming that what we see as development is the actual development that people need as a definition. So this was a little bit of an introduction. I want to give an example of a different design-based work that an NGO is doing in India. There's a project called the Rag Bag. Did any of you hear of it? It's a project that was started by a Dutch NGO in collaboration with an NGO in the slums in Delhi. And they started looking around and asking what would be a renewable resource that would allow to generate income for the community living in the slums, and allow to create a product that can bring income into the community. and they identified this very basic resource, which is plastic bags, which accumulate in tons in Delhi, create many, many different environmental issues, and also the death of cows, which is the holy because they get suffocated when they eat it, which is the holy cow of India, and that's a huge thing from a cultural point of view. And they created this process of collecting bags from Delhi with the very simple people of the slums, and created a process of producing on site bags and different products to be sold in the Western market. And this is, of course, another challenge, because a lot of those processes become successful because of the gaps in money and in the value of money. So it's something to notice in general, in the sense of economic growth, because those things can work only in very certain areas, and also only for a very short span of time. Another challenge here is actually the tool of design itself. A lot of times you can see when NGOs promote a project, their understanding of design and how design can really be a driver of a project that can bring a much higher income for a community is lacking, or also efficiency in other parts. And this is another group that looked at this in a different perspective. There are two Italian guys. They're called Who Made, and they decided to create an international brand that works with different craft people in India, in parts of Italy as well, and to see how high-level design can create a whole new high-end market for these craft people, and create a much higher income for any of their qualities. One of the things that we see in general, also in the Western world, that the power of making, the skills that used to be a very, very prevalent part of our lives are diminishing. And in those countries where the power of making is still very, very strong, it's crucial to let them grow and develop, and not lose that knowledge that was created in so many years. So the possibility of labeling these crafts and these qualities of people as something of very high value is a very, very important way to empower these communities, because as we see global trends changing, a lot of these qualities will probably have greater value as they become more and more rare. So this is just a glimpse into their catalog. So this was the image I wanted to show. Sorry? Yeah.
This is what?
It's the catalog of Who Made. This group, Who Made. Just
who made it? This is made by the local people?
No, like the two Italian designers work with local communities, develop and produce products that try to take the most emphasis from the highest craft, and design a collection of products that can be sold and create income for a community.
But these products are based on the local craft, or is it made by the
They are developed together with the artisans, and in the end are produced by them as well.
So this was produced in Africa, just for
Yeah,
sensitive.
yeah, for sure. One of the things is that nowadays the crafts become less and less interesting. So you would go to India and wood carving is, 200,000 Ganeshas done in many different ways because this is like the cheap thing that the tourists buy. But this used to be a very high-end thing, and this is what is trying to bridge. So this is the picture from Kenya that I touched by mistake. So this is another project I was involved in. It's touching design a little bit from a different perspective. It's a project I was involved with BIMCOM NGO. It's an NGO to promote planners and planners' rights, to promote planning and planning rights for deprived communities. And it's in Abu Tlul in the Negev. It's a village that when we started the project was about to be recognized by the government. And as it happens, many times villages are recognized. The urban planner or whatever sits in his office in Tel Aviv or Haifa or Beersheba and so on, never visits the village, never meets the people, creates a copy-paste of a Jewish neighborhood. The village is built, and the consequence is normally a failing village, because people are not used to live this way. There are huge cultural issues about who lives next to who has the freedom to walk where, and so on and so on. And it creates many problems, and many times a lot of crime, and so on and so on. I once heard a story by a woman, a friend, that she used to live in Omer, just in front of, it's the same street, but we're talking about 40 years ago, when it was just the beginning. And she was quite close to, as a child, she was quite close to the Bedouin community around her. And she said she remembered the day when they put them into concrete houses. And the first night she went to visit the family, and they put a fire in the middle of the living room, because that's how they lived. And that was such an important part of their lives that they could not think about leaving behind them. So these huge gaps between life habits and what we think, even here in the same country, what we think is right development can sometimes have humongous implications. And with this project, we tried, and it was a very pioneering project in that sense, to work closely with the community, understand what are their needs, what they would want from the village that would be developed. And we managed to go through a process that created kind of a blueprint guidance for the planners of how to develop a plan that is right for the community. So it was a project that took almost 1 year. It had many cultural challenges also for us. And a lot of you that were in developing countries know that doesn't matter how motivated you are. There's a lot of suspicion. There's a lot of sometimes not saying the whole truth. There are so many cultural differences that even after a very long time, the gap is huge. And we started off working with a representative of each tribe in this village, and of course, in the beginning, only the men, right? Because the women, they're not allowed. And we put a condition also already in the beginning, that if we don't meet with the women and children, we're not going into the process. But at the same time, it took a few months until the community was ready to allow us, the women from the team, to meet with the women. So there are always many.
But the men of the team didn't meet with the women of the
No. But that's something we were able to accept. But not meeting the women at all was, of course, also the question. And we did a very long co-design process around this, and I think one of the important things that guided us was accepting that we don't know. So not coming as experts. We came as people that have a certain type of knowledge, but not as the people who know how it's supposed to be. I came with my product design perspective even more humble than everybody, and in that sense, that was what worked better than everything, because the first thing I believe you have to assume is that you don't know anything. You have to come very, very clean and slowly ask the right questions and let the reality reveal in front of your eyes. So a lot, of course we worked also with skills empowerment, and we gave them the knowledge that they would need to be able to even understand the language that the future planners will have to talk to them. But one of the things that was very important, and for me, this is as simple as it is, this is a design tool. We didn't...
What's the red?
Sorry?
What's the coding? I'm sorry.
I will explain. We didn't impose anything. So we didn't come and say, what the planners will accept is a 1 dunam plot per family, or half a dunam plot. We asked the question, so what do you think? How big should a plot be? And then people would say, 10 dunam, 5 dunam, 20 dunam, whatever. Because of course these are people that live in the desert, they are used to space. So, and what we did, we explained the implications. So each one of these squares is a family. And we showed what does it mean 3 generations from now if 10 dunams would be the decision of the planners. And then they saw that actually it's not the right thing for them to want that. So slowly we supported them to coming up with solutions that would be accepted by the government in the end. So to be able to, in the end, because the interest was to find the common way that will be accepted in the end, but still be right for them. So different aspects of what will happen for the next generation, what will be with the women, what will allow them freedom of walking in the biggest areas possible, without saying that very clearly, but still allowing the answers to come. And in the end, with what I said about not knowing, the best solutions came from the community, and to be honest, from the women, because as much as we discussed, like in our close circle, of how does urban planning, how can it allow with time for women to walk in bigger distances and so on, you could never, although we were there for 1 year, which is it's not a short time when we look around and working in the community, we could never come up with the solutions that they had. And talking about accepting the role of the one who doesn't know, you could never remind yourself enough. So in the end, all we produced was a paper, because we didn't have the budget to really go through a planning process, although it was a voluntary project and so on. But this paper was accepted by the planners as a starting point, and this is a huge, huge difference when you talk about the reality. Okay. So the next project I want to talk about is really about designing practical solutions for the developing context. And this is based by the work of a technical university, Delft, which is a very big innovator in this field. And if any of you is working about products, I would really study their work. And one of the professors that is heading the whole thing, his name is Jan Karl Deal, and he's traveling around developing countries and doing a lot of research projects together with his students. And one of the discourses talks about identifying, and you would hear it from a lot of, even here, identifying the next customers and so on and so on. So this is something I would question, but for me it's more interesting, the methodology. So they're talking about how to create new ways of studying the community, the resources, the economic structures and so on, in order to come up with valuable solutions that are valid for the community. And one of the crucial things, this is something I cannot stress enough, is the participatory approach of co-design and of co-studying the community and so on, and really being very, very honest about it, and to build up very much from the field in all the aspects of product development, like need assessments, concept development, prototype testing, and also the market introduction. And the study case I will focus on, it's called Moonlight. It's a small light that is targeting a rural community in Cambodia. It's a project that was developed by master students from Technical University Delft under the guidance of Jan Karl Deal that I mentioned before. And together with an NGO that is called Camworks in Cambodia. This is an NGO which is a social enterprise that also promotes local production. So this was a very good starting point to have these two teams working together. So the starting point of this project was the understanding that one in three people in the world do not have access to electricity, and have to rely on very high, very costly solutions like kerosene lamps, like candles, and so on. And in Cambodia itself, 94% of the families at the time did not have access for electricity. Another gap, which is very important to remember, that it's not only that people don't have access to electricity, they also pay much more than we do for actually lighting their homes. So in the end, they pay 10, 15, sometimes even 30% more than what we pay if we take the average percentage of our salary for a much, much lower solution of light in their homes, with a lot of also safety implications and so on and so on. So in the end, a lot of these families pay between $50 to $100 a year on very poor lighting solutions. And when you think about the fact that they earn $1 a day, $2 a day, that's a huge amount of money for a local family. So from this gap, this project started to see how they can find a solution for lighting the houses in a more effective way, assuming that the grid will take a very long time to come, and also maybe it's not the best solution, but that's a different story. So what they did, they created a project based on 3 months of students spending 3 months on location in a village together with villagers, creating the product development based on participatory observation process and development process. So starting from market and context research together with the locals, and the same with the field search and understanding the user needs. So you can see that on one hand they were observing the life habits, the lives, getting to know the families and so on, and they also involved very simple participatory tools to understand with the community in an active way their wishes, their needs, and so on. And they came up with the understanding that this one light is needed for a multiple of functions. So one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of the design processes are done. We say, like in the normal product design studies, we say the designer sits in front of his desk and designs for the elderly, for the even for another person, without really understanding. Here, the problem is five times bigger, and in the developing aid world, it's even larger, because we all think, oh, people need light, so what's the problem? Okay, we'll create a little bit of a solar panel and a LED light. Finito, no problem. But when you go and spend time with the families, you understand that the solution is much more complex, and you can operate in a much more effective, create a much more effective solution from understanding the needs de facto. So the same light that they were going to design was supposed to answer a much bigger array of challenges that they understood and learned from the community. And the design brief, after these few months of study, came up with the fact that the device needs to be, one, a complete substitute for the normal kerosene lamp. It should be portable, because most of the families cannot afford more than one lamp, and they have to use it for multiple solutions. They have to integrate a dimmed solution to allow using it during the night, allowing people to feel safer and so on without using a lot of energy. They understood that they would need 3 hours of full light from the community. And they understood that they have to create a very flexible product, because the way of life of the Cambodian people is a very intuitive, not very kind of improvised lifestyle. They don't want things too structured. They don't want the light to be in one place. They want to be able to be flexible. And again, this aspect of culture is something that you could never understand from afar. It should allow a person to read, and it should be water resistant, dirt resistant, shock resistant, and so on. And then they came up with these 4 solutions, and they did a very deep field study with the users themselves. So creating a few prototypes, giving the people time to learn the prototypes, to use them in different ways, to come back with insights, and actually creating really a co-development with the local stakeholders. And in the end, the final design they came up with was this triangular shape that has this funny, maybe unexpected cord that you can see down there. It can be hung in different places in the house. It can be hung on a person when they go, and they can walk around with it in a very easy way. It has 6 LED lights, which is 3 times stronger than the average kerosene lamp. It does work with the solar panel. This is something that they checked in different ways, and even in their long-term study, they improved it and changed it. And what they did is they divided it. A lot of the lighting solutions have the LED panel, the solar panel, and the light themselves as one product. There they identified a very big. People were scared it would be stolen, so they wanted to store the solar panel in the house next to a window. So it had to be integrated into the design. They created the light to have 3 settings. So the bright one would be 3.5 hours, and the dimmed one would give 6 hours of light. And expected the lifetime of the product was 5 years. So even after they produced the prototype, they created quite few more prototypes and went to different villages, a little bit more developed, less developed, and brought different improvements into the design. When one of the driving aspects was that the design can be produced locally. So this is one thing that not often is put into a challenge, but when you produce locally, first you empower the community in so many different ways, but also if you produce it locally, you can also fix it locally. And one of the biggest gaps in these products is that they get spoiled and nobody knows what to do, and you see piles of unwanted products that people thought did it from the bottom of their heart with the best intention, but actually did not fit. And this product is being sold for $15, and of course $15 is still a lot for a local family. So one of the things that they understood is that it cannot be expected for a family to invest $15 in one day. So they came up with different economic programs to allow the families to receive the product but pay on a longer term. So in the end, they would have to spend less money that they would spend on candles, but not have the one-time payment that they had before. And this is another aspect which is very crucial for the success of these kind of products. And the last layer of it was the point of marketing. One of the things is like how do you introduce a new product into a rural market? And what they decided to do is to use the most popular entertainment scheme in that area, which was karaoke. So they took a very famous karaoke artist, and they made this karaoke song, whatever. And this is how they moved around and showed people the new product, and it caught to be a solution that was accepted by the community. And of course, I think you would expect that many times when a community is involved in a process, it feels very connected to the outcome and the potential for a product to be implemented is much higher. This is, just to show you, this is a booklet that is produced by the Technical University Delft, and it has different study cases and a much shorter description, but it's downloaded, you can download it for free from their website, so that can be an interesting resource if you want to learn about it more. Any questions, remarks, discussion issues until now?
The picture here that's showing, you have nothing to do with it.
Sorry?
The picture that's showing, it's rainwater harvesting, right?
Yeah, it's part of the Technical University Delft project.
This is an actual picture?
Can come there. It's
No, it's drawn.
this is a rendering, but inside they have the study case inside the book. I just brought it as a booklet you can use for your own education.
How have the lights, have they tried them in other communities to sell them?
Sorry?
Have they tried selling these lights in other communities?
In different countries, you mean?
Yeah.
This now, like from the website, they talk about that it's open to be sold internationally, but I don't have data about it if they really manage to sell it.
They should find a business model that's similar to like that one computer.
One laptop per child.
Yeah, so they could use the same model where you buy one in the Western world and buy one for
This is it's a different thing because it's a product that was designed for a very specific community. So,
But it could also be for like for tulip, for hides, for stuff like that.
Okay.
It could be useful in the developed world.
yeah, it's true.
Maybe for camping, it would be great.
It's true.
You hide them around your neck or okay.
I don't know, but in
Yeah, but I think it's the fact that it's produced locally for the local community with the economical understanding of how the community can adopt it and so on. It brings a story that is strong enough, and it's not always that it has to be really leaning on one by.
no, but
by
it could be
one.
like, it's reverse innovation because it starts and it's the thing is that that product specifically is relevant to other markets.
Mhm, mhm.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, for us, it's cheap. I would buy one.
Yeah, $15.
Yeah.
For nine
Yeah, the
dollars.
question if you would buy one without knowing the story. I mean, if you would see it in the shop.
That
but
would make me pay even more for it if I knew the money was going back.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
rather pay $50 for it because of the story.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just curious, and maybe I'll come to it later, but about how widespread this concept is within the world of design and young designers. Like speaking as someone who's been on the other side, I've worked with lots of women groups and different communities and had lots of ideas, and I never had the technical know-how and the design approach, etc., etc. And I feel like with other professional skills, there's maybe much more knowledge of like engineers or agriculturists or people that I can bring in as experts and that we work like in collaboration with different NGOs. And I feel like in design it's something that's maybe less common, or maybe I'm just not aware of it, and I'm curious as to how.
It's there was an exhibition in not in the MoMA, in the other one. Anyway, there was a very big exhibition in New York maybe 3 years ago. It was called Design for the Other 90%. And it was based on the understanding that only 10% of the design efforts are serving the 90% that really needs them. And it was trying to highlight this issue. So for sure, this is still not popular enough. For example, here in Israel, we are the only school that puts a very big emphasis on this. And still, we are maybe targeting 20% of the students, the designers that come out of our department every year. A lot of students are still a bit hesitant about it. I think part of the thing is that a lot of of them don't see actual future work
Yeah,
in
profit.
it.
Another question.
But I think, like, for example, NGOs and these kind of organizations can be a very good way for those people to work. So I think it's about all the different layers of people, NGOs, stakeholders, and so on, understanding the power of design and connecting the dots in a way that allow projects to come into life.
Sorry. נראה לי כבר מפריע.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Lastly, I want to tell you about the project I'm working on at the moment, which is representing a little bit of a different perspective, because the point of start is a little bit different. And it's from the my very personal story. It started from my first experience with these funny cups in India, that I'm sure some of you had the chance to drink from. And when I started these cups for the first time in 2000, and the way they blend back into earth, I thought this could be probably the best inspiration for sustainable design ever. So how can we create our products in a way that when we don't need them anymore, they can blend straightly back into the ground? And this started a whole process of research, and this is another technology from India of women creating soil surfaces that will be later on used to be part of wall-mounted or floor-mounted furniture, like you can see here, for example. And it's a very simple technique. They take some straw, they take the earth, they do like this, and they pour this very rough kind of like indigenous technique. And I also visited a woman in the Galil in Israel, an Arab woman, and asked her to teach me how she does her ovens, and it was very much the same. Taking some earth, doing this, and it was finished. And when I saw this, I thought this could be a very good potential to start finding products that can be durable, standalone, reliable for contemporary settings, and at the same time have the same quality. And these are, it's called mamborot. These are traditional vessels made in the same technique to store grains. And these are here from the area, and they are 300 years old. So actually it's a technique that can last for a very long time if you let it. And when I saw this, I thought this is something I would really want to look into. So as kind of a first tryout, I did this little cupboard. It's about this high. It's still in my bedroom, and kind of a very, very simple way just to see if there's a potential to this technique. And after I understood the potential, I started researching how I can use the same technique that can create a much more solid, much stronger technique and material. And I researched different traditional techniques that were used in Iraq and in Iran and in Palestine, and reading about techniques that were documented in different anthropological studies.
So different careers?
Like different straw, different food ingredients, natural ingredients, whatever. Of course, all 100% organic. It still does not compromise the renewability and the melting part of it. So, doing different studies and different processes, and slowly coming up with a method that is using construction waste, which is earth that constructors tend to throw away in nature sometimes, So using these as my treasures, as a resource of renewable material free of charge, and different sources of agricultural waste that would come into the product. Slowly I developed and understood the technology.
What were you using? The picture that showed the waste? One more? One more? Yeah, the middle one.
So this is parts of the date tree.
Okay.
That is agricultural waste, horse
Which
manure,
parts?
cane flour, and earth. And of course, hand processing the
Where's the
materials.
workshop?
Sorry?
Where's the workshop?
In
And can I
Japan.
come?
Yeah.
Can I come and play?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
can play.
amazing. I love
You
it.
can come and play?
Yes.
Work,
Next
not play.
lecture will be there.
Okay.
You need workers? You know what I'm saying?
We have volunteering positions. And, anyway, just from a personal point of view, processing the material manually creates a very, very intimate relationship with the material. So all of a sudden, like a material that I created was much more precious to me than any, highly composite whatever thing that I paid a few hundred shekels for. But this already creates a very different value. So processing the material into a raw material that I can work for, mixing it at this point in the very traditional techniques, and coming up with a raw material that can be a starting point for the process. Of course, molding it into molds, and slowly coming up with actually the first prototypes that I had at the time for stools, and kind of showing the potential. I use stools because stools is something you sit on. It needs to be very strong, and kind of as a way to indicate that there is a huge potential in the material itself. Oops, sorry. Close your eyes. So these were the stools at the time, of course, doing different checks about the footings and so on. And one of the interesting things that happened to me in the process was that I was invited to present my work in the Design Museum in Hulon. So because I had to present my work, I had to tell some people, like my father, what I was working on, which of course it's maybe, as you know, Jewish mothers want you to be a doctor and Kurdish fathers want you to be a lawyer. And of course, a lawyer and this
Or an
do not
accountant.
work together. But when I showed him my work, what he told me was that my grandmother used to build ovens from earth in Iran, where she came from. And for me, this was a really funny moment, understanding that this project that I thought at that moment was working on ancient history methodologies, was actually very much in my
Skill that runs in the
immediate family. And at that point, I understood that me and this project are kind of linked in a deeper way, and I started thinking about how I can develop it into a bigger scale, innovative social venture. And what I'm looking at the moment, one is I'm developing the methodology to be able to become more durable, allow producing thinner objects that will not be as heavy. I'm producing prototypes for different products. And I came up with a scheme to allow the products to be produced also by unskilled craft people, And the vision is to create social workshops that allow the creation of businesses for women in income-deprived communities, to allow the production for local produce from locally materials for the local communities. And starting with the first pilot that we're looking into at the moment, it can grow into a few workshops that are run by one strong brand that allows the products to be involved with a high quality design, high quality production brand that will allow the products to be sold in a higher price and so on, to bring the money back into the communities. So,
So
yeah.
the projects that we're doing outside, everyone wrote on the board a project idea. So you weren't in the right group, because
Well.
we were talking about doing
No, we were talking about it.
what?
She wasn't.
In which group?
The group that from the ground up, they were talking about using art and creativity to encourage ownership in development projects. And that's it.
This is what I do for a living.
So you have people who want to work with you and actually developing not just this, but like also other mediums of art, into enhancing the creativity as part of development projects.
Yeah. I completely agree. And part of the thing is that the concept of local production for local use is, by definition, talking about co-designing with the community products that are relevant for the immediate community. So, for example, with this technique, as you saw, traditionally they used to make ovens. This could be an opportunity for producing sustainable ovens for communities in developing countries, different cooling systems, and so on. There's the way I see it, there's a huge potential in the technology if you only just upgrade it to the right levels. Okay.
Two questions. One is only for the immediate community.
It will be defined according to the specific community and what they're targeting and so on. But the idea is to have local production workshops and not this kind of, as we have today, one factory serving the whole world. Every product has to travel at least 6,000 miles to get from source of material to production, to distribution, to the shop, to the home, and so on. So trying to have more localized centers.
Aside from learning how to make these products, are there any other things that's like marketing, selling, business, because they're selling?
For sure.
Is this a side? Are they getting those trainings as well?
Not
just how to make it?
No, of course. The way it's aimed to work is in two levels. One is in collaboration with an NGO that would bring this support to the community itself, that would bring these values. The point of marketing and so on is something that the roof brand will take on it, and this is something that can be translated to local workshops. But the aim is to create social